Hello and welcome to another playthrough for my 160th anniversary series of Battles of the American Civil War. Today I've got a real nice one here for you. This is actually going to be a new game that I've been playtesting, and it's about to hit the websites and stores and everything else pretty soon. It is A Greater Victory. By Revolution Games. Steve Carey, a designer, Roger Miller, and the whole Revolution group developing it and producing it and publishing it. I was fortunate here to be part of the playtesting group, so that's why I have an advanced copy of this. I'm going to be playing this through because for a couple reasons. One, this is a great scenario. But two, like I said, this is the 160th anniversary of it. So I said, we're so close to having the 160th anniversary. I'd like to use this game. I mean, this is going to be new, really nice to play, really easy to play, quick to play, but still has the same level of detail that I like to show in the videos here as well. So I'm going to do a playthrough with this, and like I said, it's been a really fun playtest with this as well. But I figured with the 160th anniversary coming up here on the 14th, this would be a great time to kind of showcase this and do a playthrough of this and show you how well it plays, even with these smaller scenarios. What I'm going to play here, as you can see, is the Fox Gap scenario. It's the first one in the batch. It's a smaller scenario on that early morning where the Ninth Corps, elements of the Ninth Corps under Cox, that's this unit, that's this leader here, started the attack up the Fox Gap on South Mountain. That's what we see over here. As well. And you can see the mountains are all laid out over here as well. You can see a little bit of a road right up in here. That's the National Road or the Braddock Road that was made famous and actually laid out 100 years earlier as part of the Braddock expedition. So we're playing the Fox Gap scenario, and as I said, it started out here. Kind of started the day off with Cox's two brigades, both Cook, who's going to be coming in as reinforcements, and Scammon will be the attacking Union brigades, part of the Ninth Corps, and they'll be going up against D.H. Hill's two brigades of Garland, okay, which you may know famously as being wounded in this battle and are mortally wounded in this battle, as well as some reinforcements from G.B. Anderson. Okay, so it's really just two brigades against 1.5 brigades up here on the mountain, which was one half of the battle, 1/3 of the battle in here. Just a little bit of background on this, because this is what I really enjoy about this particular scenario and what leads up to this is this came about, after McClellan had discovered the lost orders, the famously lost orders, and he basically had sent cavalry forward to push down the National Road to figure out where Lee was behind the mountains here. And of course, Stuart was covering those mountains and providing, a blockage for Union cavalry to not be able to see it. So McClellan sent his cavalry forward under Pleasanton, and was trying to push back Stuart's cavalry. And slowly but surely, they kind of did that. There was some running battles, which are very interesting to read. I highly suggest to read some of the preview towards South Mountain, because those were very interesting kind of cat and mouse little scenarios leading up towards this, until finally we get to South Mountain here, which, if you've seen this geographically, this is positioned just to the east of the valley that holds Sharpsburg, the Antietam Creek, Boonesboro, and Hagerstown, as well as down the valley to, or I should say up the valley to Harper's Ferry. So this became kind of the last line of defense here. And as Stuart got to this particular point, he reached the mountain house just off map, and he realized that this was an important place to make a stake and stick the flag in the sand and hold out here. So as he came back, he messaged Lee and Longstreet that he should send infantry up here to hold it. They sent one brigade up, Colquitt's brigade, to hold out the mountain house and the national road. But Colquitt realized that wasn't going to be enough as he saw Union coming over the prior mountain range and saw the forces lining up against him. So he asked for more to come up, and that's where Garland came up and positioned themselves along Fox's Gap. And that's what we see here. We have Garland's units strung out here trying to cover the gap. Also have some artillery here under Davis, and then under Pelham right here we actually have, there was before Garland got here, the 5th Virginia Cavalry was holding out this pass with our good friend here, Pelham, as part of Stuart's horse artillery. If you've read anything about Pelham, you probably know that he was quite the audacious artillerist. Liked to use artillery as an offensive weapon, not as a defensive weapon. So he was stationed up here, and he, as well as the Union artillery, which is not portrayed in here, kind of started off the day with a few opening shots. But he's featured prominently here as the 2nd Artillery to hold out the gap here as well. The detail on this map is very good. They've done an excellent job. The contours are a little bit more, and that'll reflect in the rules as part of this, because it's going to be a little bit steeper, a little bit tougher to get up the hills, because we've got a few extra things in here. We've got our good old slopes, as we can see here, but we also have some steeper slopes, and then really steep slopes, and then not figured on this section you're looking at, but there's some they call vertical slopes, which are totally impassable on here as well. So a lot more terrain effects here, a lot of woods. These are all woods that you can see in here. Woods are a little bit more costly here as well to reflect just the rough nature of the mountain that's on there. Another interesting fact about this too, as part of the introduction, is this area here going down, which goes down to the mountain house, and then back here in modern day, that is the Appalachian Trail. You can hike along that across this way and down through down to Virginia, West Virginia area, and Harper's Ferry from over here. But the actual trail itself goes right across the battlefield, right through the main core of the battle, which was right within this area here, right at Fox's Gap, and then heads up to Mountain House and Mount Washington, and the monument up there as well. So it's very accessible by foot to get up through there. I've actually hiked through there myself. Beautiful hiking area through there. So that's kind of interesting, but it's very well laid out here. You can see that the terrain is going to be very mountainous over here. The objectives for this particular battle are going to be Fox Gap up here, actually right here, and then right under 20th North Carolina here, the Wise House. Now this was a cabin. If you read anything about this was a cabin up here that the Wise family lived in here. I think it was a family, if I remember rightly, a family of 4 or 5, husband, wife, and 2 to 3 children over there that were kind of shocked when Garland's troops initially came in there, and were concerned that there was going to be a fight in there, and there actually was. There was one forming up over there. They did survive the battle. I think they fled or they did hide. I don't remember off the top of my head now. But they did over here. But that's going to be the two victory hexes. And if one side controls both of them, very simply, they win. If both sides control one of them, then we look to the units that are going to be on the broken track for this. So like any other blind swords system, we have our broken track, and whatever units are on there are going to get victory points for that, and then we'll total them up, and then whoever has the greater amount, wins from there. So it's a very simple scenario. What else do I want to say about it? There's going to be, obviously, it's chit pull because this is blind swords. That's pretty much the same. There is a few more special rules, but nothing that takes it out of the ordinary. More, like I said, for the terrain itself and the combat within the terrain itself. But we'll have pretty much the same type of chits. A few new ones, which you'll see here as I go through them, and I'll talk them through as well. But we're just dealing with 2 brigades on one side, a brigade and a half on the other side to have the battle. Now this scenario itself it's a total, I believe, of 7 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7 turns. They should go pretty quick. I'm figuring maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on my decision making, because the chits, when we're all said and done, we're only going to have about 8 or 9 of them going out there, and it's low density of units here too. Make it a little longer once I get into the closer combat with everything here too. But I'm going to try to do videos, 1 video per turn, maybe 2 if they're shorter. Like this intro video, I will probably also loop on the first turn for that video, and then like my others, I'll just add in the turns as we go, put it into a playlist, and you folks will take it from there. So with that type of introduction, that's what's going to be the battle. Hope you enjoy this. I hope this is going to be a good one for us. Like I said, I've played this before in playtesting. It's always been close at the end, so it's been good. So I'm hoping for another one here as well. And you'll get a chance to preview this, and we'll get to have another one in the series, the 160th anniversary series for this battle, and the beginnings of the Antietam battle as well. So with that, we'll be on to the first turn. Okay, so I'm back with turn 1, and I've put the chits in the cup already. As I didn't mention before in my intro, but I will be playing some of the kind of administrative stuff off camera, just to minimize the amount of time that I'm filming. But we're up to the artillery phase. Now, in this first turn, and actually for the first couple turns, Confederates are the only ones who have artillery. And I just have 1 shot, I believe, here. I want to check here. Again, yeah, I've got 1 shot right there. Having Davis's artillery firing down on the 30th Ohio right here. And they will just, sorry, there we go. They'll be at a range of 5. So that's within range for a mixed gun. They're an MX, so they're within range of 7 still for the MX guns in this scenario. They are not in woods. They're in the open. So we have a number. I'll just show you the shifts here. We have a number of shifts here, but they're not in woods. They're not in a orchard, not behind stone walls, not firing over a unit. Not extreme or long range, steep slope, adjacent, that is, flanking fire, canister, nothing like that at all. Okay, so it's going to be a straight shot. They're a 4 factor, so on the 4 column. 2, 3, that is going to be a miss as usual. We can see here 2, 3 is a miss. So they took a shot, can't hit. There's no Union artillery, of course. They had passed already. Now we got Pelham. Pelham up here. he doesn't really have a shot. These woods block anything over here, as well as some of these. So he's actually in a good spot there. He's already in the woods with his cavalry, so I think he'll just stay right where he is, and that will get us out of the artillery phase and get us into the chit draw phase. Alright, so let's go into the chit draw phase and see who's going to get the first pull here. Now, it's interesting on this, the for the first turn, D.H. Hill is not in here, so individual Garland as an individual brigade will not be able to activate for this first turn. D.H. Hill will arrive during the next turn and go from there. So here's the first chit pull, reaction. All right, that's one of the new chits, and that's an interesting one. I've used this a couple times before. This allows us to have a reaction to a Union activation. So basically what this does, it allows the Confederates to pick one non-artillery unit with a normal morale status, and they can immediately do a defend. So they've got to play this, and looking at this, I've got to play this immediately. All right, so this is not going to do much for me here because I don't have anything really to shoot at that's within range, but I can immediately play a defend with just one unit. So he can immediately do a defend on here. Now with a defend, as you remember, that is where they have they can shoot and have limited movement. They can potentially recover morale hits, but they can't engage. They can engage, but they cannot close combat. So I guess the best thing that this gives me is 3 movement points for an individual unit to potentially set up in a little bit more, a little bit better position. So actually what I think I'm going to do, I think you can see him slightly up here at the top of the screen, take the 13th North Carolina, and they'll actually move 3. They get 3 movement points. Defend in this particular game gets 3 movement points to be able to move. All right. So he's going to move up the trail over here, which is going to be 1 point to there. And then trying to think where I want to position him for the moment. I think we'll go 2 into there, 3 over to there, and that gets us a little bit more defense up front. So that's all for the reaction. Okay, let's pull our next chit. So the Confederates get a little bit of activation. Fortunes of War. This is our usual next chit. Pulled is ignored. So our next chit is Union Fatigue. Okay, fatigue, similar to exhaustion in, I believe it was Cedar Mountain, Stonewall Sword. Same similar effect. So that one goes out. So that's our Fortunes of War. Next we've got Firefight. Okay, Firefight is the same as other scenarios. We're going to hold on to that because there's nobody close at the moment. All right, let's see what else we've got here. All right, here we go. We've got Cox. All right, he's going to activate. Now, what he's going to do, he can activate his 2 groups. He's got Skemen and the West Virginia Artillery. Both are unique units within there, so they can do either one of those. So I got to roll for his activation, which is a 5. Rolls a 3. So we're going to activate Scammon here. So we're going to do a couple of things here. We've got 4 units, these 2 here and these 2 here. We're going to actually go into attack for orders. And with attack, just to give you a heads up on this, they'll get 5 movement points, can still engage, still fire, close combat, etc. Same thing as other games. So we're going to have, the 12th Ohio go 1, there's no firing because nobody's in range, but 1, 2 to there. He's going to go, now this is going to be a new one for you. He's going to go, because he's crossing a slope, that's actually another +1, so that's 2 points to there, 3, 4 points to there. Okay, so that gets him into position to attack them. Now we'll move up 30th Ohio, which is 2 demi-brigades, and I think he'll go 1, 2, okay, 3, and uphill's 4, and then in at Maritz's for 5. And then scamming back here will go 1, 2, 3, 4. And that brings them up to there. Okay. So now we have our combat over here, which these guys will attack him. So defensive fire by the 5th North Carolina. He's going to go after the 23rd Ohio, because he is the bigger of the 2 units. So he will be firing, he's a 7 firepower, so he'll be firing on the 7 column. And I don't think there's any modifiers, no woods, it's not behind a stone wall, not firing over units, he's rifles. So yeah, it's going to be 7, or on the 6-7 column. Rolls a 4, 5, 45 on the 6-7. So it's a green, he's a 3 because he is supported. So it's a routine hit on 23rd Ohio, which is up here. And rolling a 6 and a 4. Oh, that got him. So they're depleted. So they flip over. And it's a 4, so he has to retreat 1 hex. We'll put him back there. Okay. So now it comes just to the 12th Ohio to try to do something here. So the 12th Ohio will be attacking him here. So he's on the 5, so he'll be on the 5 column. And our close combat numbers are still kind of the same. The plus minus is for strength odds, cohesion, MX. We do have a different one here for stone walls. Slopes are still the same, and steep slopes, cavalry, and flanks over here as well. So he is a 5. He stays at a 2 because you can still derive support from him. There's no morale hit on there, so he still gets supported. So he's a 2. Now Garland up here, he is a 2. His unit up here, because it's going across a steep, I don't want to say steep, but a slope hex over there. No, he's still supported, sorry. He's still supported. So he's supported as well. So they both have the same cohesion. So with odds, 5 to 7, that's not a 3 to 2, so it's still 1 to 1, so there's nothing there. Cohesion's the same. Higher slope, no. Okay, so it's straight up roll on the 5 column. Against a 2 cohesion, 46, that's not bad. 4, 5. So he gets a routine hit on the cohesion. And routine is down here. 3, there's nothing on the depletion. 6, though, is a morale hit. Retreat 2 with a panic 2. Okay, so a morale hit and a retreat 2. So morale. Yeah, once again, I'm using my little chits here to signify morale hits. Yellow will be a shaken, and a red will be disrupted. So that'll go on there. Now he's got to retreat 2. He's going to go 1, 2. Although he won't be able to give support because he's got a morale hit over there. And then we've got a panic. What was it? Panic 2. So 2 units have to 2 units with a morale less than 3, which he does, panic. So they get the same hit. So they'll take a morale hit and they have to retreat 2. And 1, 2, I think. All right. So that worked out pretty good, even though 23rd Ohio had to retreat. He'll advance in there. They could go 2, but that leaves them vulnerable to the artillery next turn. So they're going to stay right there for the moment. Okay. So that'll be all for Scammon. And then we just have a couple left here. We've got the cavalry and another jet here as well. So what's this? Oh, no, we got one more. Fog of War roll. Okay. So our Fog of War is for this game is unique per scenario. So we have the Fog of War right here. So let's see, for this scenario, that is the 16.1, rolls a 5, Confederate leader casualty. General Samuel Garland is killed, which is historically correct. For the remainder of the turn, all units under Garland are considered unsupported. They can neither give nor receive support. Place reminder markers on the affected units. This event may occur more than once. May not occur. This event may occur more than once. Historical scenario. When Garland's death went through his ranks, it kind of dispirited them and made them tough. So these are all unsupported. I'm not sure if it's going to have an effect this turn or not. There's no change of markers with this. It's just basically saying that it's unsupported for the balance of the turn. They will get support back next turn. But all right. Next one we have is a Union charge. Now this is I believe this is it was in another one of the games. I can't remember at the top of my head here. But what this is a good one for the Union, where you can either hold it or play it now. Designated friendly unit, roll 1 dice, 1 to 4. On a 1 to 4, that unit immediately conducts a normal close combat, increasing its cohesion by 1 during the close combat. It's a 5 or 6. The charge is refused. And the charge doesn't happen, and they get a morale hit. Now, this is a tough one. I think I may hold this because I have nothing in range. All right. Now, this the way that this is worded means that it does a normal charge or normal close combat, but there's no movement. They'd have to be next to each other. So I'm going to hold on to this. I don't think I'm going to have anything next to them, but I don't want to risk getting a morale hit with this. So we'll just hold on to this because we really did what we wanted to do this turn, which was to drive back the 5th North Carolina and start to push onto here a little bit. So I'm going to hold on to that. And the last one here, which is going to be Cox again. And he's going to activate the cavalry, the West Virginia cavalry, right here. Now, if you notice, they're a fragile unit. Let me see if they activate. Yep, they do. He's a 5, and I rolled a 5. So they're a fragile unit, so they can't take much, but they can give support, and that's what they're very useful for. So he's dismounted as well. So as dismounted, he fights as infantry. What we're going to have him do is move up here for 3 into the woods, which I believe is, it's 3 for infantry. It's 3, and then he'll be able to go up the hill for 5. And hopefully that gets him in a position to give support to him. I don't want to leave him as a 1. That's not good for him. So we'll move him up there for support, and that'll be it. Okay, so that's all for Cox. And that's all of our chits. As I said, this is going to be a fairly quick turn. We do have 2 held chits, one for the Union, one for the Confederates. Union has a charge. There's nothing in range, so he's going to decline to use that. Confederates have a firefight. Again, nothing next door to anybody to have a firefight, so they'll decline that as well. And that'll end the held chit phase of this. So then we just go into administration phase of flipping our chits over and adjusting broken track and everything like that, which right now there's not too much going on here. So this first turn was kind of interesting. Got right into the battle here with the 12th Ohio and 23rd Ohio taking on the 5th North Carolina and driving them back, and driving back the 12th there as well. Be interesting if they can drive onto the guns over here at the same time the 30th moves up the road. Now this next coming turn, we will actually get D.H. Hill. He arrives this next turn, so he'll be in the cup this next turn on the 9:30 a.m. turn, and he'll be now allowing Garland to actually have an activation and move around and attack, defend, rally, so forth and so on from there. So that's the first turn. As I said, it was going to be quick, and it was. So I will get things straightened out, do some of the administration, and be back with turn 2.